The lights in the human outposts were dim at night. Most workers slept inside their metal shelters, and only 2 patrol drones moved across the storage yard. To any normal eye, the place looked quiet, safe, empty. But the girl crouched behind the cargo crates knew better. Her name was Lyra, a young alien from the mountain tribes far beyond the human settlement. Her thin gray skin shimmered faintly under the moonlight, and her large amber eyes scanned every shadow. She had done this almost every night for 2 weeks. She knew when the drone on the left turned, when the one on the right paused, and which sensor had a weak spot. She had become very good at stealing food. But tonight felt different. The air felt heavier. The wind was too still, as if even the night was watching her. Lyra pressed her hand against the old scarf wrapped around her waist. The scarf belonged to her mother. The old woman was sick. Too sick to hunt, too sick to gather mountain roots. She had not eaten a full meal in days. Lyra had brought fruit, dried meat, and ration bars from human supplies, but the illness was getting worse. Her mother needed real food, warm food, safe food. That was why Lyra was here again. She peeked out from the crates. The back door to the human kitchen stood half open, just like the last time. She didn't know why it was always left unlocked. She thought humans were supposed to be careful, strong, clever. But the humans here left strange gaps in their defenses, as if they didn't fear thieves. Lyra exhaled, then moved. Her feet were silent on the metal ground. Her small body slipped through the shadows like smoke. She knew exactly how to angle her head, so the drone sensors wouldn't catch her outline. She had practiced it again and again. When she reached the open door, she paused one more time and listened. No footsteps, no breathing, no human voices. She pushed the door and slipped inside. Warm light filled the kitchen. A giant pot rested on the stove, still hot from the human's dinner. The smell of cooked grain and vegetables made her stomach tighten painfully. She grabbed 2 small containers from the shelf and filled them quickly. She always took little, never enough to be noticed. At least, she hoped. She closed the lids and tucked them under her scarf. Then she turned to leave, but froze. A shadow stood in the doorway. A tall figure, broad shoulders. Human. Lyra's heart slammed against her ribs, so hard it hurt. She stepped back, gripping the containers under her scarf as if they were her last connection to life. The human guard did not move. He simply leaned against the doorframe with his arms crossed. His beard looked messy, like he'd been working all day, and his eyes were strangely calm. "Thought I heard something," he said softly. "Didn't expect it to be you." Lyra's breath shook. Her legs trembled. She had been careful. She had been silent. How'd he know? The guard lifted his hand slowly, showing he held no weapon. "It's okay," he said. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't believe him. Humans always said things they didn't mean. That was what her tribe had taught her. Humans were dangerous. Humans took land. Humans protected their own and no one else. Her voice came out in a whisper. I only needed a little food." "I know," the guard said. His calm tone frightened her more than shouting would have. She didn't understand it. "I will leave now." Lyra edged sideways, trying to slip past him. But he stepped aside and blocked the exit again, gently, not violently. "Before you go," he said, "can I ask one question?" Lyra wanted to run. She wanted to scream. But something in the man's eyes held her still. Not anger. Not hate. Curiosity. "Why?" he asked. "Why steal from us every night?" She swallowed hard. Her throat felt tight. She could lie. She could make something up. But she was tired. Tired of fear. Tired of hiding. Tired of watching her mother suffer. "My mother is sick," she whispered. "She cannot move. She cannot eat our food anymore. Only your food helps her." The guard nodded slowly, as if he already knew the answer before she spoke. "I guess it was something like that," he said. "You always take the same amount. Never too much. Never anything else." You knew?" Lyra's voice shook. "Yeah, I've known for days." Her heart nearly stopped. She braced for punishment, for shouting, for handcuffs, for the drones to drag her away. But the guard surprised her again. "You should have told us," he said. "We could have helped." Lyra stared at him, confused and terrified. "Humans don't help us." He sighed a long, tired sigh. "Kid, you don't know us very well." Before she could answer, the man turned, reached into a storage box by the wall, and pulled out a larger food container, 3 times the size of the one she was hiding. He placed it gently on the counter and pushed it toward her. "Take it," he said. "For your mother." Lyra's eyes widened. Her hands shook. She didn't understand. This made no sense. "Why?" she asked. The guard looked at her, and his expression softened. "Because humans take care of people who need help," he said, "even if they're not human." Lyra didn't know how to respond. Her world had rules. Humans didn't break them. But this one just had. The guard stepped back, giving her a clear path to the door. "Go," he said, "and come back tomorrow." Lyra did not sleep that night. She sat beside her mother in their small cave home, watching the older woman eat the warm human food. Steam rose slowly from the container. The air smelled soft and comforting. Lyra's mother, weak and pale, lifted each spoon with trembling hands. And for the first time in many days, she smiled. "Where did you get this?" her mother whispered. Lyra lowered her head. "From a human outpost." Her mother's eyes widened. "Lyra, you must not go there. It is too dangerous." "I know," Lyra said quietly, "but I had to. You are sick." Her mother stroked her cheek with a thin, shaking hand. "My brave girl. But the humans—" "The human guard didn't hurt me," Lyra said. She still couldn't believe her own words. "He knew I was stealing. He let me go. He even gave me extra food." Her mother stared at her for a long time, confused. Then she slowly closed her eyes and leaned against the cave wall. "Be careful," she murmured. "Kindness can be a trap, too." Lyra did not answer. Her mother was right to be afraid. The humans had taken land from many tribes. They built roads and machines and lights that never dimmed. They brought rules that the mountain people had not asked for. Kindness from such a powerful group felt strange and dangerous. But the guards' eyes, they had not looked like eyes full of the trap. They had looked tired and honest. The next day moved slowly. Lyra checked the path outside their cave again and again. Her mother slept most of the day, recovering her strength. The warmth in her face seemed to return little by little. This brought Lyra hope and fear. The more her mother recovered, the more Lyra would need to return to the humans. And the guard expected her. By late afternoon, clouds gathered over the mountains. A storm was coming. The wind carried a light dust smell that meant rain. Lyra wrapped her scarf tighter around her waist and began walking toward the outpost. Each step felt heavier than the last. What if it was a trap today? What if the guard changed his mind? What if other humans had been told? Still she walked on. She moved quietly through the tall grass until the metal fence of the human settlement came into view. Lights glowed warm behind the buildings. The sky darkened and thunder rolled. Lyra hesitated at the entrance gate. She was supposed to walk through the front door. That was what he said. She felt foolish just standing there. Then a voice came from behind the fence. "You made it." Lyra jumped back, startled. The guard, tall, with the same tired beard, stepped out from the shadows. He wore lighter armor today, almost casual clothing, and he held a steaming container in his hands. "Storm's coming fast," he said. "Good thing you came early." Lyra pressed her lips together. "You waited for me?" "Of course." He lifted the container slightly. "Food for you and your mother." Her chest tightened. He already prepared it. She didn't even ask. "Why?" she asked again, still confused by this strange human behavior. He shrugged. "Because it's the right thing to do." Lyra shook her head. "Humans do not help tribe people." "That's not true," he said gently. "Some humans don't help anyone. Some do. Same with your people, I imagine." She hesitated. That was true. Her tribe had kind people and cruel ones. So did every tribe she had heard of. Maybe humans weren't different. "What is your name?" she asked finally. The guard smiled slightly. "Mark." "Mark." She tested the name on her tongue. Strange, but simple. "And you're Lyra, right?" Her eyes widened. How do you know? He chuckled. You mutter to yourself when you sneak around. I heard you whisper your name once. Heat rushed to her cheeks. She looked down, embarrassed, but Mark didn't tease her. Instead, he opened the gate and motioned for her to follow. Come inside for a moment. You shouldn't stand out here in the open when it rains. Lyra froze. Entering the human settlement felt like crossing a line she could never step back over. The kitchen was one thing. The yard was another. But inside the settlement, that was a place for humans only. Mark seemed to notice her fear. You'll be safe, he said quietly. I promise. The wind grew colder, pushing against her back. Lyra hugged her scarf and took a slow breath. Then, very carefully, she stepped through the gate. Inside the settlement, she expected noise, movement, and bright lights. Instead, she found a calm, warm place. The metal walkways hummed softly with energy. The air smelled like cooked grain and machine oil. A few humans walked in the distance, talking quietly. No one yelled. No one stared. No one pointed at her. Mark guided her to a small supply shed near the main building. He unlocked the door and set the container inside. This will be our meeting spot, he said. I'll leave food here every day. Just come when the sun starts going down. You won't have to sneak anymore. Lyra blinked. Relief washed over her like warm rain, but confusion came with it. You would do all this for someone you don't know? Mark nodded. Your mother is sick. That's all I need to know. Lyra looked at him for several long seconds, searching for lies, tricks, or cruelty, but found none. Thunder cracked in the sky. Rain began to fall in heavy drops. You should go before the storm gets bad, Mark said. Come back tomorrow. I'll be here. Lyra nodded, holding the food close. She stepped out of the shed into the rain and began her journey home. But something strange filled her heart now. Not fear, not guilt, not confusion. A feeling she barely recognized. Hope, shining brighter than the storm. The storm lasted through the night. Rain beat against the rocks of the mountain caves, and thunder rolled like distant giants waking from sleep. But inside Lyra's small cave, the air felt warm and safe. Her mother slept deeply after eating more of the human food. Her breathing sounded steadier, no longer sharp and painful. Lyra watched her mother with quiet relief. Each night, the old woman looked a little stronger. Each morning, she coughed a little less. It was working. The food was helping. Because of Mark, that name stayed in Lyra's mind. She had never known a human personally. She had only heard stories, most bad, some terrifying. But now she had met one who smiled, who waited for her, who prepared food without expecting anything back. It made no sense, and yet it changed everything. By midday, the storm clouds thinned and sunlight filtered through the cave entrance. Lyra stepped outside, stretching her stiff shoulders. She needed herbs and clean water for her mother. For the first time in days, she felt calm enough to gather freely. But as she walked down the narrow path, she stopped suddenly. Someone else was on the trail. A tall figure with a heavy fur cloak and a spear stepped out from behind a boulder. His long hair was tied with braided rope, and he had green markings on his arms, marks of the mountain warriors. Lyra's heart sank. It was Torin, one of the tribe scouts, and one of the last people she wanted to see. His sharp eyes narrowed. Lyra, you disappeared for many nights. Where have you been? Lyra kept her breathing steady. Torin was known for suspicion and quick anger. He respected strength, but not patience. I was gathering food, she said simply. Torin stepped closer. His shadow covered her. Do not lie. The storms make hunting scarce. And I saw human tracks near the old trail. Human boots. Human lights. Lyra's stomach twisted. Had the humans been searching? Or was Torin simply tracking too closely? Torin's voice lowered, cold and firm. I ask again, where were you? Lyra lifted her chin. She had two choices. Lie and risk anger, or tell the truth and risk something far worse. My mother is sick, she said softly. I found food in the human settlement. Torin's eyes widened in shock, then narrowed in fury. You brought human things into our land? Are you mad? It saved her, Lyra said. She was fading. I had no choice. There is always a choice. Torin snapped. You should have come to the elders. They would decide. Lyra clenched her fists. The elders would debate for weeks. My mother needed food now. Torin stepped even closer. His voice turned into a harsh whisper. Humans are not friends, Lyra. They break promises. They take land. You cannot trust. We do not all have the same stories, Lyra interrupted, surprising even herself. This human helped me. Torin stared at her, as if she had spoken poison. You speak like a traitor, he said. Lyra felt a cold fear crawl up her spine. Torin was young, but powerful among the warriors. If he reported her, the tribe would react harshly. But before he could speak again, a loud cough echoed from the cave behind them. Her mother waking. Torin's eyes flicked toward the sound. He frowned. His anger softened, replaced by confusion, then something else, uncertainty. He spoke again, but quieter. Show me. Lyra hesitated. Show you what? Your mother, he said. Let me see. Lyra swallowed hard. She didn't want Torin inside their cave, but refusing him would make things worse. Fine, she said. She led him inside. Her mother sat up weakly, blinking in the dim light. Torin froze at the sight of her thin frame and tired eyes. This is what you risked the tribe for, he muttered. Lyra nodded. She is my only family. I could not let her die. Her mother managed a faint smile. Lyra has been brave. Torin stared at them both for a long moment. His jaw tightened, his thoughts racing behind his eyes. Lyra could see the conflict in him, duty, loyalty, and something deeper, empathy. He finally stepped back and exhaled. I will not report you, he said. Not yet. Lyra's breath hitched. Why? Because I see the truth. Torin turned away, his voice rough but honest. Your mother needs help, and I have also seen humans act with mercy before. Lyra blinked. You have? He did not answer the question. Instead, he spoke quickly. But be careful, Lyra. If others learn of this, I cannot protect you. Then he left the cave, disappearing into the mountain path with the same silent speed he arrived. Lyra sat beside her mother, her heart pounding. Torin knew that was dangerous, but he kept her secret for now. As evening approached, Lyra wrapped her scarf tightly and prepared to travel to the human settlement again. The air smelled fresh after the storm, and the sky glowed orange with sunset. Her mother squeezed her hand. Be safe. I will, Lyra promised. She walked down the path, moving quickly but quietly. Torin's warning echoed in her mind. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow looked like a warrior, waiting to accuse her. But when she reached the outpost, all fear fell away at once. Mark stood by the supply shed, leaning against the wall, holding another warm container. He smiled when he saw her. You came back. And Lyra realized something. She felt safe here, safer than she did in her own tribe. That was the beginning of everything that would soon change. Lyra walked into the human outpost as the sun dipped behind the mountains. The air was cool, and the metal structures glowed with soft orange light. She hugged her scarf close, still thinking about Torin's warning. He had seen her sneaking. He had followed her steps, and now he knew everything. She tried to calm herself. Torin had promised not to tell the elders. At least, not yet. But promises made in fear could change quickly. She could not relax. Not fully. When she reached the supply shed, Mark was waiting for her just as before. He stood with his hands in his pockets, leaning against the door frame. He looked tired again, but also strangely relieved when he saw her arrive. Evening, he said. Hello, Lyra replied quietly. You look worried, he added. Lyra paused, then looked away. Someone found out. Mark straightened. Someone from your tribe? Yes, Lyra whispered. A scout. Torin. He saw my tracks. He followed them. Mark's brows pulled together with concern. Did he hurt you? No, she said quickly. But he was angry. He said humans cannot be trusted. He said I was a fool. Mark let out a slow breath. I see. He did not report me. Lyra continued, but he could change his mind. If others learn what I'm doing, they will call me a traitor. Mark nodded, listening carefully. Do you trust him? I don't know. Do you think he'll keep your secret? I hope so, Lyra whispered. Mark stared at the ground for a moment, thinking. Then he opened the supply shed and lifted a larger food container than usual. It smelled fresh, warm grain, vegetables, and something she didn't recognize. This will help your mother recover faster, he said. She needs strong food. Lyra took the container slowly. She looked up at him. Why do you keep helping me? Really? Mark didn't look away. Because I believe people shouldn't suffer when we can help them. It doesn't matter what species they are. Lyra studied his face. Most humans do not think like you. Most? Mark laughed softly. You've only met one. Lyra's cheeks grew warm. You know what I mean. I do, he said. And you're not wrong. Some humans don't understand other people. Some fear what's different. Some want control. He shrugged lightly. But not all of us. Lyra held the food tighter. I am glad I met you. The words felt strange on her tongue, but true. Mark smiled a little. I'm glad too. They walked together along the quiet path behind the storage building. Mark liked to show her safe ways in and out, hidden from patrolling drones. Lyra memorized each route carefully. Tonight, he spoke softly as they walked, as if sensing her fear. Your tribe, he said. Do they hate us? Lyra shook her head. Not all. Some are afraid. Some are angry. Some lost things when humans built the outpost, but some simply want peace. And which one are you? He asked gently. Lyra thought for a moment. I don't know yet. You will, Mark said, in time. As they reached the quiet rear gate, something changed in Lyra's chest, a feeling she did not expect. She felt safe walking beside him. She trusted his footsteps. She believed his voice. She almost forgot the danger she was in until she saw the mountain ridge in the distance and remembered Torin's eyes. She stopped walking. Mark, what if my tribe finds out? What if they attack the outpost? Mark turned to her. His expression grew serious. Then we'll handle it. We've had trouble before. We know how to deal with raids. Lyra felt a stab of fear. No, you don't understand. Mountain tribes do not fight like humans. They strike from shadows. They move without sound. Mark met her gaze. Then it's even more important that we keep your visit secret. Lyra nodded. I will come, but I will be careful. Mark smiled and opened the gate for her. Come again tomorrow. Lyra stepped out into the cool evening wind. The trails were silent, except for distant birds returning to their nests. Halfway up the mountain, she paused and looked back. Mark still stood at the gate, watching to make sure she reached the path safely. Something warm filled her chest. Not like kindness, not like hope, something deeper. But she did not have time to understand it. Not tonight. When she reached the cave, her mother was awake, leaning on the wall with more strength than before. She smiled when Lyra entered. You look lighter today, her mother said. What happened? Lyra set the container on the floor. Nothing. I just feel safe. Her mother's expression softened. Because of the human? Lyra froze. Ah, yes. Her mother nodded slowly. Then he must be a good man. He is, Lyra whispered. Her mother reached out and touched her hand. Then trust him, but be careful. Good men still live in dangerous worlds. Lyra understood the warning. She sat beside her mother, helping her eat the warm food. The small cave filled with gentle smells and quiet peace. But outside, the mountains held tension in the air. Torin was out there, watching, thinking. And soon, the mountain tribes would learn that things were changing, whether they were ready or not. 3 days passed quietly. Each evening, Lyra walked to the human outpost. Each evening, Mark waited for her with warm food and a calm smile. And each evening, her mother grew stronger, her cheeks less pale, her breathing steady, her voice firm. For the first time in many weeks, Lyra felt hope growing like a small light inside her chest. But the mountains did not stay quiet forever. On the 4th night, Lyra returned from the outpost with another food container. The sky was dark and cold, and thin mist moved around her feet like pale fingers. She climbed the last hill toward the cave when she heard something unusual. A deep, slow boom rolled through the air. Then another, and another. Her blood ran cold. It was the sound of the mountain drums, a warning signal used by the tribes for generations. They only sounded the drums for two reasons. A great threat was near, or a great crime had been committed. Lyra froze on the path. Her heart hammered in her chest. She looked around the dark cliffs, half expecting warriors to appear from behind the rocks. The drums beat again, louder this time. Boom, boom, boom. Her throat tightened. Is this about me? Did Torin tell them? Did the elders finally learn I entered the human settlement? She ran the rest of the way to the cave, stumbling on loose stones. Her mother was sitting upright, wrapped in blankets, her eyes wide with worry. I heard the drums, her mother whispered. What happened? I don't know, Lyra said, but it must be serious. Her mother's gaze darkened. Lyra, is it because of you? Lyra swallowed hard. Maybe. Her mother closed her eyes. Then you must be careful. They will come looking. They will ask questions. Lyra paced the small cave, her breath shaky. Torin didn't report me. He promised. Her mother looked at her sadly. Promises made to the tribe do not last long. Duty always wins. Lyra set the food container down. Her hands shook too much to open it. What do we do? She asked. Stay hidden tonight, her mother said. If they search this area, do not let them find signs of your visits to the humans. Lyra nodded, but inside, fear churned. If the tribe discovered the truth, they would drag her before the elders. They would call her disloyal. They would question her mother as well. She had broken a sacred rule. She had trusted a human. The drums continued through the night. Each beat vibrated through the stones, echoing between cliffs. Lyra barely slept. Her mother drifted in and out of rest. But tension hung heavy in the cave. When morning finally arrived, the drums fell silent, and that silence was worse than the noise. Lyra stepped outside to gather water, but froze immediately. A figure stood at the far end of the path. Torin. He walked toward her slowly, his heavy cloak brushing against the rocks. His spear was strapped across his back, but he did not reach for it. His face, however, was grim. Lyra, he said, we need to talk. Lyra kept her voice steady. Why were the drums used? Torin approached until he was only a few steps away. His eyes held a weight she had never seen in him before. The elders met last night, he said. Scouts reported strange movements near the human outpost. New lights, extra patrols. Something is happening. Lyra's heart pounded. But why call the drums? Torin hesitated. Because the elders believe humans are preparing for conflict. Lyra's stomach dropped. Conflict? With us? Maybe, Torin said. Or maybe with something else. We don't know. But when humans change their behavior, the tribe prepares. Lyra felt dizziness grip her. She remembered Mark mentioning nothing about new patrols. He had said things were normal. Calm. Something wasn't right. Torin, she said softly, I don't think the humans want war. Torin looked sharply at her. Your trust in them grows too quickly. Only because they helped my mother, Lyra said. One human helped me. That doesn't mean all humans are enemies. Torin clenched his jaw. The elders disagree. Lyra's breath shook. Are they searching for someone? Torin's eyes hardened. They want to know who has been sneaking near the human settlement. They found footprints. Small ones. Light ones. Lyra swallowed. My footprints. Torin continued. They think a young scout is spying. They are angry. They think someone is reckless. Have they accused me? Lyra asked. Torin looked away for a moment. Not yet. Lyra felt a small wave of relief. Short-lived, but real. But they will find out soon, Torin added. The elders plan to question every young member of the tribe. Lyra stepped back. What do I do? Torin's voice dropped to a whisper. You hide. For now. And you stop going to humans. Lyra stared at him. I can't stop. My mother still needs food. Torin's eyes widened in disbelief. You would risk the tribe's anger for a human's cooking? It's not just food, Lyra said firmly. It saved her. Torin exhaled sharply. Lyra, you're walking into danger. If the tribe discovers the truth. I know, she whispered, but you still trust that human enough to return? Lyra looked at the path leading to the outpost. She imagined Mark waiting at the gate, holding warm food, offering safety without demanding anything. Yes, she said, I trust him. Torin stared at her, as if seeing her for the first time. Then he turned and walked away without another word. That evening, Lyra stood at the edge of the mountain ridge. The path to the human outpost stretched before her, danger behind her, danger ahead of her. But her mother's life, and something deeper in her heart, pulled her forward. And so Lyra stepped into the growing darkness, toward Mark, toward the humans, toward a future the mountain tribes were not ready for. Lyra reached the outpost long after sunset. The path felt colder than usual. Every shadow looked deeper. Every whisper of wind made her heart jump. She checked behind her again and again, afraid Torin, or worse, the tribal elders, might be following. But the mountain remained silent. When she reached the metal fence, she expected to see Mark waiting. He always waited. But tonight, he wasn't there. The supply shed was dark. No soft light. No warm smell of food. No sign of Mark leaning on the door frame with a tired smile. Lyra's stomach twisted. Did something happen? Did the humans discover something too? She stepped closer, cautious but determined. She knocked lightly on the shed door. Nothing. She took a shaky breath and knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. Fear began creeping up her spine. She backed away, unsure if she should call his name. Before she could decide, a light flicked on behind her. Lyra? She whirled around. Mark stood near the corner of the storage building, holding a lantern. His clothes were different tonight. He wore heavier gear, reinforced boots, and a device strapped to his arm with blinking lights. He looked tired, more tired than she had ever seen him. But he smiled anyway. There you are, he said. I was worried. Lyra's relief hit her, so suddenly she almost swayed. You weren't at the shed. I know, Mark said, walking to her. There's been trouble. Lyra's heart jumped. The tribe? No, Mark said. Humans. She stared up at him. What happened? Mark rubbed the back of his neck. A few nights ago, patrol drones spotted unfamiliar movement in the mountains. Someone, maybe from your tribe, was watching the outpost. Lyra's pulse spiked. Torin, Mark continued. The officers saw footprints. They increased security. They think someone is scouting us, maybe preparing an attack. Lyra felt the ground tilt beneath her. No, my tribe is scared, but they don't want to fight. Maybe, Mark said, but the humans don't know that. And when people don't understand something, they get afraid. Fear leads to bad choices. Lyra's breath shook. What choices? Mark looked away for a moment before answering. If security gets tighter, they might block all entrances. They might set traps. They might even send scouts into mountains, looking for whoever was sneaking around. Lyra felt her chest tighten. They would find my cave. They would find my mother. Mark shook his head quickly. I won't let that happen. I'll try to calm them down. Lyra stared at him. His eyes were tired but determined. You can really stop them? Not alone, Mark admitted. But I can slow things. I can convince them to hold back until we know the truth. Lyra stepped closer. Mark, there is something else. He looked at her carefully. What is it? She swallowed hard. The mountain tribe also knows someone was near the human settlement. They found my footprints too. Mark tensed. They know it was you? No, Lyra said. Only Torin knows. But the elders plan to question everyone soon. They fear humans are preparing for war. Mark let out a breath. So both sides think the other is getting ready to attack. Yes. And both sides are wrong. Yes. Mark's expression darkened. That means things could get bad. Fast. Lyra shook her head. We can stop it. You are kind. Torin didn't report me. There are good people on both sides. We can stop a war before it starts. Mark didn't answer right away. He stared at the mountains, thinking deeply. Finally, he said, Then there's something I need to tell you. Lyra's breath caught. What? Mark lowered his voice. The humans. We're not just guarding supplies. We're here because something dangerous was found nearby. Something not from this world. Lyra blinked. Not from this world? Mark nodded slowly. A capsule. A machine. Something crashed here a month ago. We've been studying it, keeping it hidden. Only some officers know. He looked at her carefully. Neither your tribe nor the humans can handle this truth right now. Lyra felt her heart pound. Why is this important? Because, Mark said, taking a step closer, if the tribe attacks, or if humans think they're under attack, they'll use that technology. And once that happens, things will get out of control. Lyra shook her head in disbelief. Why didn't you tell me before? I didn't want to scare you, Mark said. And I didn't want you to think humans were hiding something dangerous. You are hiding something dangerous, Lyra whispered. Yes, Mark said honestly. But I'm telling you now because I trust you. Lyra stepped back, overwhelmed. Trust. That word meant everything. It meant danger. It meant hope. It meant connection. Lyra, Mark said softly, your tribe needs to know we're not their enemy. And my people need to know your tribe isn't planning an attack. And I'm the only one who knows both sides, Lyra murmured. Yes, Mark said. You're the bridge. Lyra looked into his eyes. She saw fear there, but also faith. Faith in her. Her chest tightened with emotion. Then what do we do? Mark took a deep breath. Meet me tomorrow. Same time. I'll show you something. Something that might save both our people. Lyra nodded slowly. I'll come. Mark gave her a weak smile. I know you will. As she walked back into the mountains, Lyra felt the weight of two worlds on her shoulders. The humans were preparing. The tribe was preparing. Fear was growing like fire in dry grass. And she was standing in the space between the flames. The next night would decide everything. Lyra hardly slept. The next day felt long and heavy, like a shadow that refused to lift. She checked on her mother many times. Her mother's breathing was steadier, but she was still weak. The medicine Mark had given was helping, but Lyra knew she needed more soon. And something worse, something she feared more than anything, was happening outside the cave. Voices carried through the mountain passages. Torin's voice. The elders. Warriors training. Tools being sharpened. Whispered fears. Everyone seemed tense. Everyone seemed ready for danger. Everyone except Lyra. She was ready for the truth. When the sun dipped low, she wrapped herself in a dark cloak and slipped away. No one noticed her leave. Or maybe Torin noticed, but chose not to stop her again. She followed the cold evening wind down the narrow path toward the human outpost. Tonight felt different. The air carried a strange humming sound, like machines waking up, like engines warming for a fight. Lyra hurried, heart racing. When she reached the fence, Mark was waiting, but he wasn't alone. Two small hovering drones circled behind him, blinking softly. His clothes were heavier again, and he held a handheld device that glowed blue. He looked more serious than she had ever seen him. Lyra, he said, things are getting worse. We don't have much time. She stepped closer. What happened? Human scouts found new footprints near the mountain this morning. They think someone from your tribe is watching our base. Her stomach twisted. It wasn't my tribe. They're watching each other because they're scared. Mark nodded. I know, but the officers are preparing weapons tonight. They plan to lock down the entire valley at dawn. Lyra felt the world spin. If they block the valley, my tribe will think it's an attack. Mark took a breath. Exactly, which is why you need to see what I'm about to show you. He turned and led her around the storage buildings to a metal hatch in the ground. Lyra had never seen this part of the outpost before. Two guards stepped aside when Mark raised his ID device. A hiss of air escaped as the hatch opened. Come, Mark said. Lyra followed him down the metal stairs into a dim, underground room. Machines filled the walls, screens, cables, glowing panels. But the center of the room held something overwhelming. A large, broken capsule sat in a cradle of metal arms. It was made of strange white material that pulsed faintly with light. Cracks ran across its curved surface like spider webs. Mark approached it slowly, as if showing her something sacred. "This," he said quietly, "is what humans found in the mountains." Lyra stared. The capsule seemed alive, like it was breathing calmly in its broken shell. "What is it?" she whispered. "We're still learning," Mark said, "but it wasn't built by humans. It came from space." Lyra stepped closer, heart pounding. "Why is it dangerous?" Mark took a slow breath. "Because the energy inside it is powerful. If humans try to use it in war, if they activate it without understanding it, it could destroy everything. Humans, the tribe, even the mountain." Lyra swallowed hard. The capsule glowed softly, almost like it heard them. "So what do you want me to do?" she asked. "I want you to tell the truth," Mark said. "Tell your tribe that humans are not preparing to attack them. They are afraid, just like your people. And tell them that both sides are standing next to something they do not understand." Lyra felt her hands tremble. "They won't believe me. I'm young, and Tor may defend me. But the elders trust only fear right now." Mark's voice softened. "Then you must show them courage. Be louder than their fear." Lyra looked at him. His eyes were steady, calm, honest. "I don't want a war," she whispered. "Neither do I," Mark said. "And I think your mother would want peace too." That hit her heart like a spark. Her mother, sick, fragile, depending on her, depending on these secret trips, depending on a future where she wouldn't have to fear humans again. "Mark," Lyra said, voice firming, "will the humans listen to you if I speak to them too?" Mark nodded. "Yes. If you speak, I'll stand beside you." Lyra took a deep breath. "Then we will speak to both sides." Mark stared at her for a long, silent moment. Then he smiled, a tired, relieved smile. "Then let's end this." Dawn rose fast. Lyra and Mark met halfway up the mountain, where the two cliffs faced each other like two guards watching a narrow valley between them. On one side, humans stood armed with scanners and rifles. On the other, the tribe gathered with spears and stone blades. Fear filled the air like smoke. Lyra stepped into the middle, cloak blowing in the morning wind. Mark stepped beside her, raising his empty hands. Both crowds froze. Lyra's voice rose, steady and clear. "There is no enemy here. You fear each other because you do not understand each other. But we understand. We speak. We know the truth." Her words echoed off the cliffs. Mark stepped forward. "No war. No attack. Not today. Not ever. Not if we end this fear together." Whispers filled the valley. Weapons lowered slowly. Lyra lifted her chin. "My people want to live. Your people want to live. And we both stand near something powerful that could destroy us all if fear leads us into a mistake." Mark nodded. "We protect the valley together. As allies, not enemies." For a long moment, everything hung in silence. Then Torin stepped forward from the tribe side. He lowered his spear. The human commander lowered his weapon too. The valley slowly breathed again. Lyra felt tears rise, not of sadness, but of relief. She had become the bridge, and the bridge held strong. Mark smiled at her softly. "HFY," he whispered. "Human for you, and you for us." Lyra smiled back. Together, they had stopped a war. Together, they had saved two worlds.